Welcome one and all to this edition of No Tact Talk. I have a very special guest today. Y'all, today is a great day. I just had the best turkey burger of my life. My wife just made it. Shout out to the wife downstairs. I'm in her office right now, taking up all of her space. She's in school and I love it. So I got to give her a quick little shout out before we get started. But this is No Tact Talk. If this is your first time here, welcome. The only rule here is to have no talk, no tact. Excuse me, to have no tact in the podcast. And if you're wondering what that is, it's pretty much you just genuinely being yourself. Yeah, you want to be rude to people. You want to be out of pocket in certain situations, but one of the reasons why I started this is just so people can kind of speak their mind and have a place where they could speak their mind without having to feel like they're gonna be canceled or politically incorrect or something like that. And so this is why I started it. So since his last episode has started, has aired rather, your boy hit 1,000 views, so 1,000 listens for the podcast. It's a small milestone, but I'm learning every day that it's not as small as I think it is to have a consistent base of people. So as I get into this podcast world, entertainment, platform industry, whatever you want to call it, thank y'all so much. I want to start out the episode with that as well. Just thanking the people that have been listening, the likes, the shares, the retweets, all the other good stuff with the podcast. You have made it great so far, and I feel like I have not only done this for myself, but I feel like God has called me to do this for other people as well, so they can listen and feel like they have a voice in their own communities. Anyway, that was one thing, so not to get so mushy. And also a special shout out to the people. I made a post the day of when I was at 999. I was, hey y'all, get me there. I need one more person listen to one episode, and they did, and I appreciate y'all for that as well. With that being said, let's get right on to the episode for today. Like I said, we have a very special guest. Today we have with us K.Shantel. She considers herself an advocate and a truth teller. She's versed in social media marketing. She's pretty much an all-around creative from what I can tell, and is even a co-host of her own podcast, or with a co-host of a podcast with another young man named Leo called The Wheel Down, and we'll get to that in a second. And so with all that being said, insert applause here, as I so infamously do. Welcome, K.Shantel. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for agreeing to be on. It's a good day. So how's
Uh,
everything going in your world?
I can't complain.
Wouldn't do you no
It's
good, no way, huh?
Well, yeah, it won't complain. So I won't do it.
Okay, so I want to first off start by saying that happy belated birthday. I couldn't. Well, I wanted it to be on the birthday, but you had to do your thing. But I wanted to shout it out still because I believe in birthday months. Mine is next month in August. You hit the dirty 30. Like, what does that mean for you? Because you gotta let me know
Uh,
how it is to hit the dirty 30.
okay, so you haven't hit it yet.
Nope, 28.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it felt great to say, I made it to 30.
Okay.
But I'm big on birthdays, just period. Like I don't
Hmm.
care what year I'm turning. Like you just said, I'm big on
Yeah,
birthdays. So it's like I celebrate the whole month.
exactly.
And for me to make it to 30 is big because I was expected not to make it
Okay.
past my first week of life. So every year is a celebration, but 30,
Hmm.
that's major.
It is. It's for a lot of good reasons. I saw from a distance, like you lived it up. Like, how did you deal with that during the COVID? Like, everybody been having these COVID birthdays. Even my wife, I had to make it special. I had like a whole little Zoom call, like 30, 40 people on there just to make it special. Because in this time, like everybody's just trying to deal with it and cope with it. And you forget, right? You see the news and everything. You forget, oh, snap, my birthday like next week or something like that. But I still can't go outside. Like,
Right.
what was that like?
I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty bummed at first. Like I,
Mm,
I didn't expect I don't think anybody really expected COVID to last as long as it has. I don't know, we live
yeah.
in a bubble thinking, oh, it's gonna be gone in a couple weeks or whatever. But that
Yeah.
wasn't the case. So when June started to roll right past, I was like, dang,
Mm,
my next month. I don't even feel excited because I can't do nothing.
right.
'Cause I was
That's
gonna
how I
go.
feel.
I had these big elaborate plans to go out of the country,
Oh,
celebrate or something.
where was you trying to go?
I wanted to go to Canada, but I never
Why?
even
What?
start planning.
You wasn't gonna see Drake there. Why you trying to go to
I
Canada?
I just wanted to go. It's something about Canada that's like drawing me to it. Like I want to
Okay.
see, I want to experience the culture. Um, what was
Yeah.
it? I want to go to Toronto though.
Yeah.
Even though Drake does live there, I
I
wasn't.
get it. I get the appeal. I never liked Canada, and it's no good reason at all. I remember the high school book fairs, and
Uh
I
huh.
would see like US on the back of it. It'd be like $10, and but Canada will all be like $12.99. Like I ain't trying to live up there. Like it's like everything is way more expensive. Why would I want to go to Canada?
And
That's
it may be more expensive, but they also have a lot of stuff is free,
uh-huh. Oh really?
like healthcare and things
Yeah.
of that nature.
Okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't say free, but the
And
government
I
does
imagine
share it.
I imagine minimum wage would be higher too. They say when stuff, when the price is higher compared to other countries. You would think, right?
I would imagine it would have to be.
Yeah. I'm not a
But
political guy at all, but it seems like everything is way more expensive. I'm just like, man, that's crazy.
yeah, but I just think that other countries do healthcare way better than the U.S. does. But that's another topic.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what type of stuff did you do on your birthday? Like, I want to kind of give people an idea, and you can kind of give people ideas as well on what they can do to kind of make it still special. Or what did you
well,
end up
so
doing?
like I said, I was kind of bummed.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my friends specifically was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm just gonna chill,
Right.
yes, and just see what happens." And she was like, "No, you're not gonna do that. I'm gonna make sure you do something." I was like, "Okay."
Right.
So, but I had already planned to go and hang with one of my friends in Atlanta, and I did that.
Okay.
When I came back, my friends really showed out. They had a whole quarantine party for me at my
Oh
apartment.
wow, that's good.
It
Yeah.
was, it was. I know people get cringy when people get in groups, but it was good for me to see people show up for me in this
Yeah.
time, and they were all masked up when I saw them. I was like,
Yeah.
"They got a mask on? What's happening?"
But it was still happening. You still have people still support. That's big.
Right.
I have a very select few friends. So I don't even know if that would even been possible with me. I always tell people, hey, you got your circles, your groups of people that you can call. Be happy, because I grew up like knowing what a real friend was early on, and so that it kind of kept me like
Mhm.
I have a lot of circles and a lot of mess, which was good. But I'm real close knit.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah,
that's good too. That's good too. I was at
so
first.
my wife, man, she's such an introvert. I'm telling you, and but it's like I ain't trying to put a business out there, but she has all these groups of people, like where she used to work. Like she is AKA, so she got a whole little group there. She just kind of grew up having like all these different types of friends, but she just loved being in the house. But for
Mhm.
me, I'm the complete opposite. But now I'm the one with like I got like four good friends. And I'm just trying to stick with it. But that's good though. I saw that you had a good time, and it seemed like I think I saw you say something about that under one of your posts, like, hey, every birthday is a blessing, because it kind of resonated with me because I take my birthdays very serious. Like it's
Mhm.
another year you're on this earth, and
Right.
people like try to say like, man, when you get older, it don't matter no more. It's for the kids. No, like
No,
no,
matters.
it matters every year, and like I don't know, maybe that's my own little plight, but that's what's up. Now getting on into it. So on the way home from work today, y'all, I was on Instagram while I was driving because my car kind of drives itself a little bit. Yeah. And I was going in traffic. So it was like 20 miles per hour anyway. That's besides the point. You said like something super deep. And I'm gonna try to, I think I quoted it correctly. You said a guy asked you a while back if you had your parents in your life. And you said at first, and let me know if I'm wrong. You said at first you thought it was bizarre, but now you realize it was because what was it? What you said? You said it was because he was trying to just see how he can handle you or how to approach you.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
like a
You're right.
single parent home or as a dual parent home, whatever. So what did you mean by that? Because I had to like listen to like three different times.
And I realized when I
That was
recorded that
deep.
video, I
Yeah.
had the air blasting in the background. So I was like,
Oh
it's
nah.
gonna be hard for people to hear this,
I
but
heard every
whatever.
word.
But no, you're right. There I was having a initial encounter with this guy.
Okay.
And like one of the first questions he asked me was, do you have both of your parents in your life? And nobody has ever asked me that before, which is,
Mm.
I think it's a very profound question.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't think too much into it. But I'm in therapy now.
Me too.
I analyze everything.
Yes.
So I just got to thinking. I was fresh out of therapy. I was like, that dude was trying to figure out how to handle me.
So what you mean handle you? It sounded like mad aggressive. But like what is that?
Well, it's not really aggressive for me. It's how they gonna treat you.
Okay.
So I feel like he asked me that to see how he wanted to move accordingly, and we didn't talk much. So
Mm. Do you come from a two parent
parent
household?
household wasn't what he was looking for.
Yeah. Okay, let me play devil's advocate. So 'cause I love the dynamic too. We'll get that in the second of the podcast. Y'all genuinely have like y'all agree, but y'all really don't
Yeah.
ultimately, right? And so I'm gonna be like Leo for a second. So when a guy asks you that, I think that's kind of like a respect thing, right? And so it's like he has his own set of rules that he goes by. And I'm not saying that it's right, but he got a set of rules. So if that's one of his questions, then he's like, "Well, I'm not even gonna waste your time."
And
Right?
that I can commend that. Please don't waste my time.
Yeah,
So
so he asking these questions to see where you at. So, hey, in his mind, this is like, I mean, generally, I guess it's people that come from two parent households. I guess turn out quote unquote better. But I think now you never know.
I
That's
mean,
the,
you don't
I
never
mean,
know
you,
because
but for me, back when in my days, my heydays, what they call them, I had something very similar. And I remember this was one girl I was with. I'm not gonna tell the story, but I was like, "Hey, I can't even talk to you because I'm not even on that right now." Because guys, genuinely, when they live in that type of life, they like, I know what I want, I know what I don't want. Like he was kind of just, I guess he was vetting you, whatever. But this girl, I mean, she was like initially just treat me so well, like it caught me off guard, and I was like, "Whoa, I ain't even on that." I was just trying to smash and it's
well,
not be. I told her that I was being honest. Like I was doing my thing, but ultimately, like I wasn't like if a girl would ask me like, "Hey, you talking to so and so?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I ain't with nobody," Or you talk to her because I ain't had nothing to lose. Like, I was good because. So I think if you're gonna be a certain type of way, it's a way to do it. That's just my own little thing.
yeah. I mean,
I
honestly,
moved on from that, but
honesty is definitely the best policy, especially when it comes to dating.
yeah.
But just thinking back on that, I was like,
That's
I see,
good though. He probably asked that because he sensed it in you. That's
and that could
usually,
be,
yeah. He was like, I can't play around with her. That's probably, like I'm giving people the nuggets. Like I'm retired now, so I can give people all the nuggets of how
well, I
guys
guess they
think.
better pay attention.
I'm
But that's funny
serious.
you say that. I had I actually had a guy to be upfront and say that, like,
Yeah.
you serious. Like I can tell you're serious. I'm not even gonna play with you like that.
But then the girl be like, no, 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 I can change you, and no, you're better than that. I see your potential, and then you ain't never
Ah,
heard.
you hitting it on the head.
I'm just saying. I got three sisters, so I know. I know both sides. That's why I was so dangerous. I don't know. I had to stop.
Well, to give away even further nuggets, that never works either. Do not try to
What?
fix them. Not gonna work.
No, and that goes both ways.
Don't try to make them ready. They're not gonna be ready.
It goes both. It was this girl I was really like interested in one time, and maybe like the second day, I never forget it. It was in Arby's, and everybody hates Arby's, but I love Arby's. But it was in Arby's, and she was just kind of like, it was cool. There was obviously an attraction there. It was new for me because she had kids, and
Hmm.
so I was already like, hmm. But she started telling me second time I seen her in real life, like second time, she started telling me about like her past stuff that happened to her. I'm not gonna put the business out there, I'm not saying her name, but like some bad stuff happened to her. And so like I didn't know how to take that. But to her, it was like, hey, this is what you get. And I always tell people, you always look at people Facebook cover photos. A lot of females have their kids in their cover photos.
Okay.
And so it's like you come on my page, you know exactly what you're getting. I got 2 kids and a goldfish, boom, right in the cover photo, right? Or it's just her, but I don't know what it is. That cover photo, it's like people want, hey, this is me in a nutshell. Or like I'll use keychains for an example as well. You always look at people keychains. because it's always gonna be like that one Planet Fitness membership they don't use, or like it might have like a Mickey Mouse chain, or, just whatever. But you can kind of get like a good little glimpse of somebody on their keychain. Nuggets, throwing them out all day.
I'm about to go change my cover photo right now.
I'm telling you, people, whatever it's because it's like that's what it is. The first thing that you see is the cover photo, right? So they
It
want
is
you to know what they all about. It could be no tact talk, it could be business, it could be whatever you're doing with whatever It's like what you want people to see initially.
right, and I'm about to keep mine strictly business.
I'm just saying. I wanted to talk about the podcast. When we were talking before, I didn't had no idea you even did that, and which is great. So we part of this community now. So I got to hit on that as
Right,
well. So how did Wheel Down, right? The Wheel Down is the Wheel Down.
the wheel down.
The Wheel Down. How did that even get started with you and Leo? Shout y'all out for a minute.
Okay, well, me and Leo, we've been cool for a while. He's
Mm.
actually on the West Coast,
Okay.
and when COVID really struck and we were told to stay in the house and all of that, we were like on the phone and we do like little live sessions on Instagram
Yeah.
just for being just to kind of vent and talk about what's happening and what we
Right.
got going on. And I talked to him one day. I was like, we could really make this a thing.
Mm.
I was like, we already getting on live once a week, just talking, doing what we
Yeah.
do. Our chemistry is great,
Yeah.
and we just decided to do the wheel down, where it's me and him. We both have disabilities.
Right.
We have two different perspectives. I was born with my disability, and his was acquired.
Okay.
Um, so off that, we already have different perspectives on life. So in the topics that we discuss, like he said, sometimes we agree, sometimes we
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
It's like an open discussion for mainly for people with disabilities, but not
Hmm.
limited to people with disabilities.
And it kind of gives you like a good look into it, a healthy look into what it's like to be y'all. And the dynamics y'all have. You said so. You say you got it from a car accident, I think.
Motorcycle
Oh,
accident.
it's like, oh man, see, I want to get a motorcycle so bad. Anyway, that's another story. So, what do you think? What are some of the major differences between that? Because I mean, it's always been a discussion. Like, okay, with Stevie Wonder, like he was born that way versus somebody that already seen what a sunrise looks like, right? So, how was that different for y'all? Because I imagine it. I mean, I was thinking to myself, like, y'all would like Clash had to be pretty heavy at first, because it's like you don't understand, especially for you, right? Like I've been dealing with this for like 30 years. You new to this, dog. I'm just saying, right? But for him, I'm trying to get a perspective.
I'm a really understanding person.
Mm.
So with me, if you say you don't agree with me on something, or if you have a different outlook on something, I'm not gonna bash you, but
But
I'll give you my perspective.
okay.
You can either take it or not, but I will probably subtly still talk about that until
Mm.
we eventually come to some level of understanding.
Do
Or
you
not.
do you feel like that you've been able to help other people with a similar disability because of like I guess you build a certain type of resolve because you've done this, been there, done that, right? And so now you see other people who have like just hit it, kind of like with this racism thing. So
Mhm.
me and you've been dealing with our whole life. I always tell like, black people, but like I love seeing like a white person's aha moment, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Um,
what do you mean you have to, take your hood off when you go into Walmart, or what do you mean you have to have the talk and it's not about sex? Like, do you feel like you kind of have to, give people grace in that area, or you just, what was your process?
I try to give people grace. For me, I feel like it's the more you talk to me and the more you hang out with
Yeah.
me, or whatever the case may be, you begin to pick up on things that I'm talking about or things that I'm doing.
Mm,
So I do see that in people who may have gotten a disability later, people that hang around me like consistently, they start to pick up on stuff that I do and stuff that
yeah.
I talk about. And I'm like, oh, you paying attention.
Yeah.
But with me and Leo, it was different. Yeah, we clashed a little at first, but it wasn't huge. Like, cause we always had similar goals as far as We were both interested in media. We were both interested in entertainment.
Okay.
He was a actor and a singer before he was in an accident, so he
Oh
still
wow.
has those same goals,
Mm-hmm.
and I have those same goals. So we clicked on that. But when it came to dealing with our disabilities, we just dealt with them differently.
Mm.
And for me, from my perspective, all I can say is I was born with this disability, so I can't miss something I never had. So these things
Mm.
that people who have injuries, I can't relate on some things that they talk about because I never had that and I don't care to have it.
So the transition, I guess, from having to have not having is
Yeah.
it's a different dynamic.
It's a way
That's
different
crazy.
dynamic. So I try not to even speak on some things that they talk about because I can't relate and I don't want to say
So it does
anything.
go both ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, like y'all are funny. I listened to a couple, two of them. I think it was like we just talked about with the nurse. What was her name? Shout her out too, I guess.
Andrea.
Andrea, and then I think the third one, the one that she sent me. Y'all have like it's funny. Like y'all have a very different dynamic, and I kind of see how like he'll like help you kind of talk a little bit more. But once you get started, you like boom, and then
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. Um, anyway, I want to shout y'all out as well. But
I appreciate
I
that.
wanted to talk about too, because I'm all about giving different perspectives here. And I was
Mhm.
thinking about because it started with me and No Tact Talk for me, and it's still for me. But as I go on and people call me, text me, I got a lot of Facebook messages and stuff like it's a kind of a responsibility that I'm not really taking on, but it's just like I get what you're saying. And
Mhm.
so my whole plight in my life has been, even in the last episode, I was like, man, I just feel like, something was wrong with me because I couldn't be my true self. Right. And so when I talk so candidly, when I'm just like saying whatever, like I'm comfortable with it now because I got a wife to understand, or I got friends that know, hey, that's just Jay. But
Yeah.
prior to getting to that, it was like a soul searching moment for me. And I was thinking, I was like, man, I've been had this conversation with K.Shantel. I was like, it had to be a journey for you to get where you are because we're gonna put the Instagram and the details and everything, but the girl is popping, right? And we all know what social media is like. You put what you want to be seen or whatever, but there's an amount of confidence, and even in like not the comment section, but what you put in like the descriptions, your photos, and different things that you're an advocate for. It's like a tenacity, if I can use that word, to it. So it's
Mhm.
not just like, oh, hey, I'm doing this, da 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 da. It's like, hey, boom, it's been done. What's next? Type style. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes,
And
I can see
but
how you could
I see
perceive
that
that.
though, right? Yeah, you're it's the confidence is oozing out. And I think no matter what anybody has going on, it's always a process to get to that certain point, that mountain. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm like right there. I'm not at the peak yet, but I'm like right there. But how do you feel like what was your process is what I mean to say, and kind of getting to where you are right now.
Yeah, it's all I feel like it's always a process of self-discovery that we all have to go on and
Mm-hmm.
go on our own separate journeys to figure out who we are. Um Mine, I feel like I'm hitting the cusp of mine.
Okay.
I figured out that it started for me once I got out of college.
Okay.
They say life gets real once you get out of college.
Yeah.
So that and the things that I went through upon graduating, having different jobs, dealing
Mm-hmm.
with um just these careers that I wasn't satisfied in.
Like what?
I worked in a hospital in a dietary nutrition
Okay.
office. Because my first degree is in food and nutrition science.
Okay.
So I worked in the hospital for a little over a year and I just hated every moment of it.
Why?
Uh, Me being the type of person that I am, who I realize that I am now,
Okay.
I think the person that I was then knew that I was her.
Yeah.
And it just took some soul searching to figure that out. Like the healthcare field is very stifling. You're gonna do it this way. You're gonna do
Mm-hmm.
it the way we do it. You're gonna dress like this. You're not gonna wear your hair like this.
Oh
And
wow.
and, and God forbid, do not wear nail polish.
And you like all of that.
I like
You
all of
got one
that
thing that's purple in your hair right now. Like
right
yeah.
now. It's like I like all of these things, and I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa. And it's I don't know. It was a rough moment of self discovery. Then I went into an office in corporate America,
Okay.
and that was even worse
Mm.
because it's like the same model. You
Mm-hmm.
this is what you have to do. You are a number. You are not an individual. You are all about production.
Yes, that's my job right now.
So it's like, no, I figured out that I don't work well like that. I need to be free. I need to be able to create and do the things that I like to do.
Okay, so in creation, because you do a lot of stuff, I think like his
Yeah.
name modeling. I need you to take me like in the journey. Take me there, right? Because you do. I could just pick anything. You got the nails, at the podcast, you got the modeling. It was a lot of stuff, you know. So
There's
like,
a lot of things, and sometimes I don't know if I don't know. I'm still coming to grips with it's okay to do multiple things
yes,
as long as you can keep them balanced. But I struggle with that at first because it's like people try to make you feel bad for doing a bunch of different things,
mm,
but
what you
that's
mean?
that's not for people to understand. Like they'll say, "Oh, you can't you like you're not consistent with one thing. You can't even keep up with what you got going on. Why you doing all this other stuff?" That's
Mm,
that's not the case for me. I know how to keep it balanced.
yeah,
I
you
know
ha- you
what
have to have
falls.
a threshold for that. Like I had to like get myself in the mindset to be consistent because I know myself.
I know
I
me
know
too.
my. I mean, I'm everywhere. But it's just about applying and being consistent. Even with this podcast, like I'm held to a time limit. Like okay, like I might record today. Like I gotta edit these things. Gotta do promos. Gotta make sure the website good. Don't take talk.com. Anyway, gotta make sure the website. I gotta make sure the website is current. That's a whole other beast. Jesus. With the episodes. Um, but I had I'm gonna tell you a story too. I don't like talking too much, but I got an argument with my boss the other day because I'm considering like being a recruiter full time.
Hmm.
And like you just saying, being a number and everything. That's just the army in general. But in all
Hmm.
of my positions, it was always a rough patch in the beginning, but later on, like my leadership was like, hey, that's just Coach. That's just Jay. That's Sergeant Coach over there. Let him do him. Right. And I think that's a problem that us, right, as creators, you see my hand on YouTube, you see,
Yeah.
right? No, but us have because people try to put us in a box. And what bigger box than the US Army? Okay. And so
Man.
I love recruiting because it's not like regular army. I kind of get to be a civilian too. Like I'm out in the populace, talking to folks, kids, whatever. I get to kind of do what I want as long as I'm meeting that mission, right? And he was like, "You ain't got what it takes. I'm not gonna approve you to do it." And I was like, okay. I wasn't like even mad about it, but he was like, "You're arrogant. You say one thing and do it." I was like, oh. I'm a surprise. I'm like in awe. I'm like, cause bro, you don't even know me, right? I'm listening. It's my boss and everything. So I prayed about it. I'm gonna give you the real quick version. I prayed about it. Ultimately, God was like, "This is where you need to be." And so as of now, I'm like conflicted to where I need to be at. And I'm always up for advice if you got any. But so because I know for a fact, like I can't like fit like the mold that people have for me. And you can apply this to, especially people that's listening to anything that you got going on. It's impossible, if that makes sense. I may try, but it literally like destroys me to like try to, go with the flow. you,
Absolutely.
you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Um, and so, but he's like old school, like he's done this thing for so long. He just feel like he knows everything. I was just like, well, it's more than one way to skin a cat, as my dad says. But you can't. It's nothing to. It was a whole thing, but it got real bad. But ultimately, I had to talk to God, man, and it's kind of like my little mini testimony. It's ultimately all about you, but it's made me think about it. Like before we had this call, I was like, man, it correlate perfectly.
Uh-huh.
And so if I'm thinking the same things and having those thoughts, and it's kind of what you said, being a creative and going to do different things, it has to be like stressful,
Yes.
right? And so
Yes.
that's so I'm asking, like, legit, like, how do you deal with that? Because what I tell people, I'm working on empathy a lot, just dealing with situations and people. So
Yeah.
how do you personally deal with that, and like people trying to like keep you in that box?
Well, okay, I'll take you on the journey.
Take me.
Uh, um, yeah, I've gotten into many arguments with my jobs in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and usually my arguments lead to me getting strikes and getting fired and
Mm.
quitting, all of that good stuff. Because once I get started,
Yeah.
but I had to realize I come from who I was and where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather's side of the family is full of entrepreneurs. I talked to my granddad before he passed away,
Yeah.
and he told me he had only had one job his whole life, and he knew that he couldn't work for nobody.
Mm.
So after I got fired from my last job in 2015, that conversation came to mind, and I was like, I'm my grandfather's child.
Yeah.
I can't work for nobody. I just can't. I don't do well with. I'm not to say I have a problem with authority because I work well with people,
We just might.
but but I don't work well with people telling me what to do, when to do it, how to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But in a group, like in a team setting, I can get things done.
Okay.
But no. So that once that happened, I just went on this self discovery of, okay, what do you like?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do in your spare time? What do you spend most of your time on when you're not at work?
Mm.
So I listened to before podcasts got really popular.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to radio shows all the time, and I was like, I really like studying these things.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, I like fashion. I like to model. I
Right.
got into the modeling. I got promoting myself and doing fashion shows and things like that. And I was always a hustler. Even when in college, I was doing nails on the side.
Okay.
But I never thought to make it my career. It was just something that I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I can make this legit. Go to nail school, get my nail license, get certified. Now I have Shantel's Nails.
Boom.
Just plug shantelsnails.com. Schedule your appointments today.
There you go.
But that keeps me centered. The Chantel's Nails keeps me centered on this is my brand. This is my business.
Mm-hmm.
My business funds my brand, which is K.Shantel.
Your passion.
Yes. My
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Since K.Shantel is the business, yes, it funds my passion.
Okay. And that is modeling and wait, what's the
Modeling.
brand? What's all encompassing under the K.Shantel brand?
K.Shantel brand encompasses modeling, entertainment,
Okay.
fashion, just
All of the
everything,
above.
advocacy, all the above, advocacy at the top of all of
Okay.
that. Because
Advocacy for what?
for people with disabilities
Okay.
and representation within the media and access to get to that representation.
That's good.
The access is half the battle.
Yeah, because I feel like, well, for me outside looking in, okay, it's the okay, be okay with myself first, and then it's like another world. I
Mm-hmm.
can't even think of the place in Birmingham. It's off of actually it's in Homewood. It's that gym, the real big expensive gym,
Lakeshore.
Lakeshore.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, mine was blown. I forgot I went up there to do an event with the job I was working at. And so it's weird, and I don't know, no tact moment or whatever, but it's weird to see people with disabilities be so comfortable at first. Like you haven't, like, just being honest.
Yeah.
And I was like, and now so the thing about it is you can apply that to any situation. So like this dude was like killing it at basketball. I was watching him play. And I was like, hey man, I was just trying to, I wasn't trying to, you know what I'm saying? I was just trying to like talk to him. Like that was like legitimately dope because this is all a new world to me. And I was like, hey, just
Yeah.
take me slow. I ain't trying to be disrespectful, you know? And he was just like, bro, like, man, I ain't need, he like dissed me. He was like, I ain't even studying you, dog. And so like that initially broke the ice, right? And so now, we got cool and it was a whole little thing. But I was only up there for like 2 days, this little event, but it opened my eyes like completely. And that's why I think it's so like that's why I say you at the second level, like you at the peak because you think,
Yeah.
you know, but it's getting other people to understand it as well. And
That's the hard part.
yeah.
Like it when you, even when you speak on Lakeshore, when I was an athlete at Lakeshore,
Okay, yeah.
it amazed me when I would tell people what I do when I
Mhm.
was playing basketball, and how they could come see me or whatever they wanted to do,
Mhm.
and how many people had never heard of Lakeshore right
It's
in
a
Birmingham. Like,
big
this y'all
place.
city.
It's huge.
And
Yeah. It is
it's
tucked away a little bit though. They just go to Brookwood Mall or something, but I get it.
it's tucked away, but it just being in it, it
Yeah.
seems so big and so major to me. I'm
Mhm.
like, everybody should know about this, but no, everybody didn't know about this.
Yeah. That's why awareness is so huge. That's with any topic. I mean, you talk about, let's say you got the gaming community. And when I kind of slowly started getting into that, I realized I could not be a part of it because those dudes are like, I consider them athletes. That's just me. I do. I mean, you got hand injuries, dudes coming out with carpal tunnel like 25, like it's crazy, right? But that's why I think conversations like this, podcasts have like blown up because awareness is so important because people just don't know, right?
That's
They just don't know. They don't know what they don't know, is what people say. And you got so many niches, it's barber world, nails. Like I've been learning about all types of stuff. Like I learned how to buy a house like a couple weeks ago with my buddy about financial, freedom. A couple weeks ago it was multi-generational trauma from being black.
you
And it's
know
just like, bro, like, but I think, and I want to tell people too, how would you ever know if you don't want to know? Right.
that's right. You have to be open and receptive to information too.
And so when people don't understand, I would say this too, when people don't understand, they usually fear, right? So
Hmm.
how do you have empathy? Because I always tell people I'm trying to work on that for myself because I ain't got none. It's no point, no tech talk and me trying to have a little tech, right? How do you have empathy for people who might not understand or like try to play you or like it's like they just like, man, I ain't dealing with K.Shantel right now. You know what I'm saying? Like have you dealt with that?
um it's really hard for me to have empathy all the time
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not gonna say I don't have any,
Yeah,
but
I get it.
I feel like empathy and tolerance for me is hand in hand,
Mm-hmm.
and half the time I just don't have the tolerance for it. And it's like, you either gonna listen to what I'm saying and understand that this comes from a real place,
Mm-hmm.
from real experiences, or we can't have a discussion.
Yeah.
And because I feel like that goes hand in hand with the movement going on right now for social justice.
Yeah.
Social justice, disability justice, they go hand in hand, but often disability justice is left out of that conversation
How do they go hand in hand?
because we're looking for we're asking for the same types of justice,
Mm-hmm.
access. But like the being black and disabled is a whole other
Yeah.
fight. So it's like I gotta get you to listen to just being the plight of being black, and I gotta get you to listen to what happens when being disabled too. Oh, it
Mm.
adds a whole other layer to the conversation.
And that's what I was saying a couple weeks ago. That's where empathy comes in because, like, for being black or like being disabled,
Hmm.
we've been doing this our whole life.
Yes.
And so when somebody is just now learning, it's like, okay, let me just tell you again, or let me just, and so you want the change to happen. So ultimately, I feel like people try to be the bigger person, just, do it anyway.
Yeah.
But that's where you have to kind of reset yourself and find out, find your happy place. I always ask people, how do you keep your peace? How do you find your peace? And it's for those moments.
Yeah.
Because in the last episode, I was telling them, Miss Cherie, I was like, I was tired of just being angry. I need to be angry in that moment because I haven't
Hmm.
angered for so long. So now it's come to a pivot. So people kind of talking about it and everything. I said I need to have a process just so I could go out again and
Yeah.
and show that person that grace.
and you need that reset moment. And I guess I can see what you mean by empathy in that aspect.
Yeah.
What I can have empathy for is somebody who does not want to know, who does not want to listen, and is
Mm-hmm.
insistent on arguing with you. I have no empathy for you.
Nah. Nah.
But yeah, you have to have that reset moment, but it is also okay to be angry
Mm-hmm.
because this comes with it, it's heavy. It's a heavy load to carry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's like the more you know, the heavier it is. Because
Mm.
I had to talk with somebody that I look up to in advocacy
Yeah.
who kind of took me under her wing, but she's like, no, you have to be the forefront now. And I'm like,
Okay.
me? Eh,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have to realize your own power. So that's the moment I'm having right now. And it gets that burden gets tough.
Mm-hmm.
So it is days when I'm like, I can't talk about this. I can't think about this. I just need to just be K today.
Yeah. So what's some of the things that you do to keep your peace, that you do to reset yourself, or to kind of put it all into perspective? Because if you, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm kind of big on self care and
Okay.
knowing when you can't pour from your empty cup.
Mm.
So then I have to. I like to sit outside and just do nothing and just like soak up,
Mm.
preferably when it's sunny outside. Soak up the sun and just like be present with the world. And just
Yeah.
no, no BS. Just
Mm-hmm.
nature. I'll read. I'll sleep. Sleep is the best form
Yes.
of
Yes.
getting yourself back on track.
Okay.
Just whatever I want to do at the moment, and not what anybody else wants me to do.
Yep. I have a list. I get this from my mom of my favorite things,
Hmm.
like in my notes. I have like my favorite words, my favorite movies. Like last week, me and my wife, well, 2 weeks ago, was watching Fury, was watching Ali. We still got to
Mm,
watch 300. That's one of her favorites. And I tell people it's about being intentional about your own peace, right?
absolutely.
And so, we were just talking about therapy, and I can't wait for this Thursday because I'm going. I'm in it too. My
Is it your
sister,
first, or
my
no, you've
so
been
it,
going?
yeah, so I did the consultation, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but I got the J's therapy sessions. They come out whenever I go to kind of give people an idea
Okay.
of what it's like. And I'm not getting them all in my business, right? But it's just letting people know like the type of questions they ask, like different coping mechanisms, or like something positive about yourself that, hey, I might want to put it in a jar, and this is all the stuff I've done. Because
Mhm.
some people will be like extremely successful, but they ain't done nothing. When you
Mm,
start writing it all down, oh man, I'm dope, and then that helps, right?
yeah.
Um, and a lot of times, and I'll use myself as an example. When you talk so much, when you quick with the tongue, because when I was younger in high school, I was like 120 pounds, so that was my only way of like getting anywhere is to run my mouth. I couldn't fight nobody, I wasn't the biggest guy in the room, so I had to run my mouth. So that became like a thing for me, like a shield. Um, so if I didn't have that, what would I have? And so it's like a double-edged sword, and it's usually that way for a lot of people. But it's just kind of about, okay, yeah, you got this gift, or yeah, you have, something God bless you with, but how are you gonna use it? You know? And I wrote that down earlier. Man, I can't even think about it right now. But it was about the gift that God gives everybody a gift, everybody a time and a season. We'll get to that, and then we'll get to the scripture part.
Okay.
But how you kind of you play the cards that you've been dealt, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a hard thing for people to do, which is why I think this conversation is so important as well. But it kind of it's rude to me because you see like somebody that's disabled, see somebody with like that's blind with disability, whatever, right? And people get this motivated for like a day, you know, right? Oh wow, if she climbed Mount Everest, or that's so great. I could, and it's inspiring in the moment, and it really is. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like people never take that to heart for how they should. You know,
Yeah.
you ever get that like people just like just are happy. just you just oh wow, I can't believe you, blah blah blah. Like no, like
That's a thing. There's a term for it actually.
what's that?
We like to call it inspiration porn.
Oh, that
They
might be
use
the name of this podcast. But this episode, go ahead.
they use us for their inspiration, their I don't want to say
Wow.
their daily dose of inspiration, but whatever they need in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, okay, we'll keep going. We'll
Mm-hmm.
come back to you when we need you again. Like, no, 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 no. You're not gonna sit here and like when I was working a regular job, this
Yeah.
girl tell me that I inspired her just because I came to work. That's not inspiration. That's a
Mm-mm. Dang.
and it's just what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're going to tell me that I motivate you or that I inspire you, please let it be something that I've actually done.
Yeah.
That's
Not just
worth
because you live it.
me. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I think you said one of the things that you posted was about microaggressions.
Mhm.
And I talked a lot about that as far as like racism and things like at work, like the white boss might live in
Mhm.
like a white town for the majority, and then he sees his first black guy, and all he saw was like the hood or something, right? And
Right.
then he projects that on somebody that he's over, and it's not like he's quote unquote racist, but like he just has preconceptions that was turning into microaggressions.
Right.
And I thought that was I didn't even think about it, like like you said, it was well what I saw and I read was like just making your event accessible in all areas, or making it just able for everybody to be there,
That's it. And
right?
we're coming up on 30 years since the ADA was passed, and we're still having problems getting access to the things that the ADA says we should have access to.
What's the ADA? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Okay. Oh, snap. Okay.
So it's like supposed to be this celebration where we're still fighting for most of these things.
Mhm.
And yeah, so those microaggressions come from people. Number one, people not used to being around people with disabilities,
Mhm.
or I can say for myself, where I grew up, I wasn't around other people with disabilities.
Mm.
I was most of the time the only one.
Yeah.
So most of
Oh
these
man.
things you grow up hearing and you don't think anything about it until you know better. You get around other people with disabilities and you're like, this don't sound right.
Yeah, because eventually you're gonna see it.
Yes.
I was talking to my barber, and she listens to this episode. She probably gonna mess up my hair, but we was kind of debating, and this is Brad the barber, so you can listen to the episode as well, y'all. But so she said on the racism tip, that well, she said, okay, if you you grow up, have a bad life, realize all this stuff, the world's crazy, sum it up, right? Then you grow up, get some money, and you have children, then you should hide racism pretty much from them as much as you can. So put them in the best schools. You ever seen All American?
Yeah.
So the people, the rich folk, the rich kids. I
Uh-huh.
forgot their name. I can't think about it because it's been off for
Um,
so long.
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but the
Hey,
twins.
these characters and
Yeah,
his
but
children.
his children. So
Hmm.
like when he had that first experience, they got pulled over. Like it was just like, whoa, like this is crazy. You can't treat me this way. It's like, bro, I was like, stop. I knew it was fake. I'm like, stop when you get shot. I thought he's gonna die.
Yes.
Um, and so she was like, no, if you shelter them, they'll never see it and they'll have a better life and no trauma. But I'm just like, because even if you were in a well-to-do quote unquote house, you at least had some cousins or something. Go over your
Hmm.
cousins and you saw some of that, and that was the exposure for you, right? Or you might go to the cookout and see your family, but you saw it somewhere. So even if you were in a town, or they'd be like, go to your uncle's house for the summer, you know, and just live how he lives, so you can see how good you had it, just whatever. But I think you kind of what's the word? You just setting them up for failure,
Yeah.
because you're not letting them see what the world is really like. And
Because
so,
I mean,
go
it
ahead.
doesn't matter how much you shelter a person, they're eventually going to get exposed to it.
Yeah. So better early, and I can only imagine because I know they have I think more groups now for all the types of people whatever got going on, but you were the only one that had to be kind of crazy. And I mean, I'm just saying.
It was. But I didn't realize it either. It's all I knew.
So maybe she was right. You
Yeah.
know,
So in a
I
way, yes, you're right.
huh.
But it's that eye-opening experience when you're exposed to it and you're like, oh,
It sucks.
I, my whole life has been a lie.
Mm,
But like the best example of a microaggression that I can give,
okay.
and I'm going to give the disabled version
Mhm.
from my ableism post that you saw,
Yep.
and I'll give you one that relates to being black.
Okay.
I don't think of you as disabled. That's just like somebody telling you, "Oh, I don't even see color."
Ooh.
I need you to see me. I need you to see me as black, and I need you to see me as disabled, so you can
Okay.
recognize what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
You need to see these things. Don't say that because that's not true.
Mm. That's good. Okay, I'm learning something today. That's what's up. Um, and you said also it's Disability Pride Month, right?
It is a Disability Pride Month.
Speaking
Yes,
of, and so that's for all like disabilities. That's for like everything, and so it's
seen and unseen.
seen and unseen. And so it's people recognizing that you making like bomb posts. I'm gonna talk about that here in a second about the fashion part. That's a whole other segment. We're not gonna just stay on this forever. I think it's important, but it ain't why we here, right?
It's not like,
Right. And so you so when do you become like an advocate? Because you said your mentor was like, hey, it's your turn. So at what point did you like take on the mantle and realize like, hey, this is like I'm some obviously it's you something to be passionate about, but like pushing it out for the world to see.
um, I feel like I've always been an advocate. I just didn't know what to call it. Because before I was advocating for myself, my mom was always advocating for me. So
Mm-hmm.
like I always say she's the first advocate I knew
Okay.
because from the moment you're in school,
Mm-hmm.
the world is putting their microaggressions on you.
Mm-hmm.
So even attending school, they tried to put me in a special ed class before they even knew I could speak.
Oh wow.
And my mom was like, "No, no,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with her mind. She's going to regular school." And so she had to fight for that.
Dang.
And so now it's like just recognizing the things that you have to fight for. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always like I can't even well now that COVID is going on, we don't have this to worry about, but every time I attend an entertainment event,
Mm-hmm.
I just know it's gonna be something. I have to put on my advocate hat and
You
get
gotta
ready.
expect it. Yeah, that's
You have
crazy.
to. So that just experiences, I guess, turned me into an advocate.
Mm-hmm. But
And now,
you could have been like, okay, that's how it is. I'm gonna live my life, but not want to do it for other people. That's the great part in this. Yeah, you could just know what's to expect for you, but not want to let everybody else know or raise the awareness. That's what I think the great part is.
yeah. So
You don't
yeah,
have to do that. I ain't around here fighting for black rights. I post the stuff, but I ain't being like that active. You know, like I try to affect my circle, but you affect way more than your circle.
it can't just be good for me because if it's just good for me, what happens when I go on and I
Mm-hmm.
haven't paved the way or made a way for anybody else?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm the person that my friends call when they don't want to deal with whatever they got going on. I'm strapping up and I'm going to wherever they at.
Bet.
Hey, what's up?
That's what's up. Cool. I appreciate that. And I always say in each point in my podcast as well, because I feel like people don't hear this enough. You're dope. Okay. I'm proud of you for being you. Keep being the queen that you are. Right. People
I
don't hear it
appreciate it.
enough. They don't. And it's just in general, no, for no particular reason.
This is true.
You know,
It's very true.
I
And
was
it's hard
listening
to hear it and accept it.
isn't that crazy? Why is it so hard to hear that? That's my point.
I don't know.
We need to remind people how dope they really are. And I was listening to this podcast of T.I. today. They were talking about like this guy was like talking about financial wealth. He
Uh-huh.
said when you have kids or even people that you're around, even when they do something wrong, I can't believe that you future king. I can't believe that you future CEO.
Oh, that's
How
dope.
how
That's
dare
if
you?
we grew up on that talk.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Imagine if you grew up still, even when you did something wrong, receiving those positive affirmations. Um, I have affirmations in my locker in my job because it's mad stressful, and I have parts where I even have like a times two and a times three because I have to say it to myself 3 different times. One of them is like, I live for God and not my boss. I live for
Okay.
God and not my boss. And I have to remind myself of that daily because, you just trying to go home. You just trying
Yeah.
to be successful. So, like, if I got to get 2 appointments today, I got to do it so and so say, but at the end of the day, no, like, even if the fry guy at Wendy's, you ultimately working for God. Everything that you do is for Him, and He will glorify you in that. I ain't here to preach. I'm just saying. Just kind of
But
got
you're
in
right. But you're right.
it.
And we have to keep that in mind too, especially when egos come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Remember your why and what are you doing it for?
And
And are you
that's how it keeps you
glorifying God in
grounded.
the process?
Yes. Yeah, but you're dope. Anyway, um, last thing I want to talk about before we get to the last two segments, is you have a very like big modeling, like, what's the word? I don't know. You doing it, and so how did you get into modeling? How does that work out? Because everybody like, you could tell the difference between like an Instagram person modeling, not trying to
Mm-hmm.
step on no toes, whatever, no tech, or somebody like got that look, outside looking in. So what made you get into it?
Well, like I said, upon losing my job in 2015, I just was trying to figure out what I like to do, and I was the selfie queen.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll take selfies all the time, and I'm like, well, what if you tried to actually take pictures and see how that
Mm-hmm.
works out for you? And so I did, and I just enjoyed doing it so much. So I was like, well, maybe I can promote this and see how far that get me.
Yeah. Took a chance
And
on yourself.
I took a chance on myself, and I'm not trying to make this sound easy because it's expensive. It's work involved. You have to stay consistent. You have to stay relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And but for me it's worth it. It's worth it. It's not I'm not nowhere near where I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to stop until I get there.
Oh, he's so modest.
I have to
So
be
modest.
no, because I have to representation. It's all about representation for me, and representation
Okay.
matters. You know, who we grow up watching and seeing, it's instilled in us, and as we
Mm-hmm.
become to adult.
Yeah.
I didn't see me anywhere growing up. And when
Mm-hmm.
you do see people with disabilities, I'm using air quotes for those who are listening.
Nice.
um, those people on TV don't usually have disabilities. The percentage
Mm.
of people who actually have disabilities playing the roles is very low.
So it's so many Drakes out there on the grassy.
So many.
Dang.
And I
Why
get
wouldn't
it.
they just hire like,
It sounds easy, right?
yeah.
Okay. Let's tell Hollywood that. But it's so sad to the point where it's like I get excited when I see somebody with a disability on TV.
Yeah.
Until I go look it up and I'm like, they don't even have a disability.
I got mad at the dude from All American. It broke my heart when I found out he was like from British or can't whatever UK, whatever it is.
Does
I'm
that
like, you
make
traitor.
you guys feel some type of way when the UK
Oh,
people
I
play?
was livid.
I've heard said about that. I watched a whole documentary on it actually.
And they're great actors. Don't get me wrong. They outsource a lot from the UK
Yeah, they
for
do.
over
That's why I
here.
said that.
I don't
Do it a
know.
lot. But that's still
I felt betrayed. I believed in you, bro.
I get it. If I have to put it in the terms that I feel, I
Yeah.
get it. It's like
um,
very rare that I get to keep that excitement that the person actually has a disability.
listen. I wanted to say as well, you are Miss Wheelchair Alabama.
I am.
Okay. So what was that process like? I ain't forget about that as well. I'm hyping you up all day. That's my
Um,
job.
that process was crazy. I never saw myself as a quote unquote pageant girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was once I got to learn more about it and what they were about, I learned that it wasn't about just, pageantry.
Yeah.
Actually, the Miss Wheelchair America Association or Foundation, however they like
One of them
to,
Asians, right?
yeah, whatever they like to, the organization is not about pageantry at all. It's all about advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Boom.
I'm like, okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, I took the glam to the pageant because I wouldn't be me.
Yeah.
If I didn't. But
Stunting on them, of course.
no, I'm not gonna say that. But I just had to be myself, and that's who I am.
Okay.
'Cause, I mean, somebody even told me, as far as we have to go to nationals next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't have to do all that. I was like, oh, but I am.
Right. What?
Oh, but I am. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you do all that. I'll be able to
I'm
support
going to do all
it.
that. So, but I love the fact that it's centered around advocacy and the platforms that we want to talk about and spread.
Okay. So, with that being said, for one, thank you for your time. I don't want to take up your whole day. I know I can talk forever.
No problem.
Um, we're gonna get into one of my favorite questions.
Let's do it.
Real deep question.
Okay.
Real deep question. You ready for it? Yep. No. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were. Sorry. I'm awkward. I'm awkward. If you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be? Two-part question. And how would you make money from it? I'll give you time to think about it. No, it's a minute. Don't try to be deep and be like, I wish I could just love everybody. The world would be great. I want a real superpower, right? I always say, I got my little superhero tattoos and stuff. I would
Mhm.
love to be the Flash, man. I would love to have super speed. Why? Because I'm slow. I'm legitimately a slow person, not fast at all. I was a little slow kid. I always got picked last for dodgeball, every time. And so I always grew up wanting to be the Flash. I was a guy coming out of every Marvel and DC movie trying to, do whatever they could do, right? Um, and
Okay.
that's why I fell in love with superheroes. I'm surprised I don't have a Captain America shirt or something right now. Um, but that's mine. And so I say that because, like I said, I'm slow. And so usually, well, you know what? I'll give you the real answer after. But what would yours be?
Okay. Well, I'm a big fan of Marvel as well.
Dope.
Might not know, based on my social media or not, but I'm kind of a nerd and I watch a lot of. That's besides the point.
Okay.
But so since you added the little part about making money,
Yeah, I will be in the Olympics like some type of football or something. I
yeah,
don't know.
see,
Yeah.
I would I would have the ability to teleport. Why? Because traveling takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
I love to travel. So why not do that in less time and maximize
Mhm.
all of it? I will be able to go wherever I want at any given time
Mhm.
and I will be making money
Yeah.
simply by attending whatever appearances I need to be at.
You
I
have to
was
pay for no
line 'em up.
flights.
You got to be there at 2. Okay, I'm going to teleport here at 4.
That was my second one, believe it or not. If I didn't do super speed, I wanted to be like, what's the dude from X-Men? What's the guy that can
Mm.
teleport? The blue guy with the tail.
Um,
Nightcrawler. Beat you to it.
Nightcrawler?
Yes.
Okay, I was thinking about the Beast.
Oh yeah. He was
But
close. He's blue. He
yeah,
was close.
he was blue. That's what I say. He was blue.
That's what's up. But the reason why I asked that question, and I always tell people to do this, if you just meeting somebody, you trying to date them, ask somebody this question, or even if you've been married for 30 years, you'd be surprised what you learn about somebody. Um, I use the example of what's your favorite superpower? Or somebody might say, I want to be invisible. That's a superpower.
It
But
is.
it's twofold because they want to be invisible because they might have self-esteem issues. Or like if they want to be super strong, they might feel weak in certain areas, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when you ask somebody that, be playful. Don't be all serious like me, right? Be playful or just kind of ask, but kind of see where people's heads are at. You'll
Okay.
be it's kind of like the keychain or kind of whatever else. It's the small things that we don't even pay attention to. That if you just focus on, that person, the little isms of them, right? You figure out a lot.
I wouldn't have thought to ask that.
Favorite superpower.
It's about like the parents question.
There you go. Oh, my therapist gonna have fun with me Thursday.
Mm.
No, all right. Last segment is the scripture. You do obviously believe in God. I think we saw that.
Yeah.
We talked about that for a little bit. It doesn't matter if you do or don't, but that's good that you do. Um, I'm gonna talk about this as well. My mom called me before I give you the scripture. Mom called me yesterday. I was at the gym. She put me on the spot, and I kind of want to make this kind of a charge to people that might be listening that say they believe in God, which is great. You saved, awesome. You're personally saved, awesome, right? But what about everybody else? I always tell people like, don't be just the person coming in church, just sitting in the pew and soaking it all up and not spreading it to other people, right? But she put me on the spot because it's been a minute since I like brought somebody to Christ, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, okay, if you was gonna bring somebody to Christ, how would you do it? What would you say? Pretend I don't know nothing about God. And I was like, I had to think a minute because I'm like, I'm talking to the youth. I'm in church heavily. Well, not heavily. I'm in the youth department and stuff. And I was like, I've done it in my own little way. I kind of just like stumbled through it a couple times, but just to kind of have like a way to do it,
Yeah.
like a standard way to like bring somebody to Christ. Cause she was just my mama, she dope. She might be like an angel on earth. She was like, I was just in the produce department, last week talking to somebody, right? But she put me on the spot, and I was like, man, I got to make sure I'm very intentional about this
Uh-huh.
because we say we love God, we do. I'm not saying we don't, but I feel like our ultimate job is to spread the good news of God, of Jesus dying for our sins. So I want to charge you as well as I'm
Good.
charging myself because my wife was talking about this the other night. It was like, man, we gotta be intentional about like asking that question because you might
Mm-hmm.
just be like, hey, well, just come to church with me, or hey, I'll share this link on your page, or watch Mike Todd or whatever, right? But it's about asking the question, are you saved? Okay, cool. Pray with me, right?
Okay.
And so if I'm doing it, I'm gonna make it. This is the first time I've done this, before the scripture, but it's just because my mom, she's like my producer, my solid producer. But it's just to remind people to be more intentional about that. You ain't got to
Yeah.
do it, but it's even for the people that's listening as well. I think it'd be dope if we did. It would legitimately change the world. Anyway,
That is.
so
Yeah.
huh?
That. I think you're challenging me. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. No tech though.
Okay.
The scripture is, and after I read it, I'll kind of say what I feel like it is to give you time to think about it, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot. That's what we do. This scripture is tailored just for you. Nobody has gotten this scripture. Nobody will
Okay.
ever get this scripture, and this will go down in no tech talk history. And when I run out of scriptures at the Bible, we'll cross that bridge when we get there because it's a big book.
It's gonna be hard for you to do that.
All right. I always say in like episode 1,000 or something, I'll be like, Jesus wept. In the beginning. No. So it's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. Um, Seems very self-explanatory. But now praying about it, thinking about it, it's knowing that whatever we might have going on, ultimately God doesn't mean to harm us. God doesn't mean hurt for our good. People always use he doesn't mean to hurt us like on purpose, right? But people
Yeah.
always use Job like in the Bible. He pretty much lost everything. His wife, she told him to curse God, lost his children. Dude was mad rich, lost all his cattle, his corn, everything, right? His friends was telling him, he is, but God like put him on that pedestal because you know the story. You know the story of Job? Pretty much like
Yes.
the devil's like, hey God, I could do what I need to do if you wouldn't had this hedge of protection of everybody. And God was like, all right, try my servant Job. He got it together.
Mm-hmm.
Now us reading this, knowing that God knows what's gonna happen anyway. That's how stupid the devil is. All right. But he's like, try my servant Job. Job lost everything. I can't say I don't I probably could say honestly, I probably like, man, hey God, you know. I mean, just imagine within like a week, you losing everything that you have.
Yeah.
Like everything. And you got
Yeah.
like I think he had like leprosy or something too, right? Just
Yeah.
bad.
I couldn't.
you know? Um, but it's that part of that scripture for me, like it spoke to me a little bit because it's like bad stuff happens to us. People talking about just like the end days because we in COVID or
Mm-hmm.
Kobe Bryant died, all those bad stuff happening, but ultimately it's for the good because God only knows the ending. And
That's
so
true.
it's for us to find peace in that, and in that suffering for whatever it might be, and rock with it. At the end of the day. So, what you think? And I'll read it again so you can kind of. It says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future. What you got?
I actually like that scripture a lot. Um, I think people tend to take that out of context,
Mm.
thinking that these are the plans that they should create
Oh,
that God will carry through, but that's not the case.
oh
These
wow.
are God's perfect plans for your life,
Mm-hmm.
and only He knows how they will carry out. And so it's up to we have to stop trying to figure stuff out by
Give it
ourselves.
back seat. Yeah,
Yes.
that's good.
And yeah, that's really like one of my favorite scriptures.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, before you leave, if someone is listening to this with a disability, what is something that you could tell them, motivate them, be advocate for? Like, what do you got? You ain't got to make no whole long drawn thing, but if they're listening, they might feel a certain type of way. They might feel like they're a little hopeless. What's something that you can tell them before we head on out of here?
Oh, that's a great question. um, I'm big on knowing your power.
Okay.
Know your power. And that comes with knowing yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody can tell you who you are. And when you do that, know that nobody can fight for you the way that you can fight for you.
Mm-hmm.
So with whatever you need, do not be afraid to ever use your voice for whatever you need in this world.
That's good. There you go. All right. That was cool. I'm excited. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having me. This was fun.
I'm glad. I'm super excited to have you on. Hopefully, we didn't get too deep. But I had
No,
to make sure I hit all the fastest K.Shantel. There's a lot of stuff, right? But don't ever feel like you're doing too much. I get that all the time. And if we
mm,
had to motivate each other, we can. But we doing just enough because that's what God gave us the power to do. Everybody can't be us, can it? Right? But
no,
you know,
and you're just as dope. So
I
if
appreciate it.
you're encouraging me, I
It's
got
the
you.
same way. I'm gonna put all of your information, Instagrams, and that if you want to push out as well in the
Yeah.
description for the podcast. This has been another edition of No Tact Talk. It's always a reminder to live life on purpose and live with no tact in your life. Peace.